It was one of those nights when baseball felt larger than life. The lights of Dodger Stadium burned bright, the stands trembled with anticipation, and Shohei Ohtani stepped into the batter's box with that calm, almost serene expression that precedes chaos. The opposing pitcher knew what was coming, everyone did, but knowing and stopping Ohtani are two very different things. The crowd roared as he lifted his bat, waiting for that perfect moment. The pitcher delivered a fastball that screamed toward the plate. Ohtani's swing was a blur. The sound of contact echoed like thunder, sending a jolt through the entire ballpark. The ball soared high into the Los Angeles night, cutting through the dark sky before disappearing into the sea of fans beyond the right field fence. It wasn't just a home run, it was a statement. The fans exploded, waving banners and shouting his name, a celebration of power and perfection in one motion. But amid the euphoria, one camera caught something unexpected. In a luxury box above home plate, a world-famous celebrity, an international music and film star known across continents, stood frozen. As the crowd erupted in joy, this superstar's expression twisted into something unmistakable: displeasure. Slowly, they turned their thumb downward, booing as the cheers thundered around them. It was a strange, almost cinematic moment of defiance in a sea of admiration. Fans nearby noticed immediately. Some gasped, others recorded the moment, and within minutes, the clip was circulating online. Did they just boo Ohtani? One fan wrote on social media, disbelief dripping from every word. The internet, as it always does, caught fire. Millions of views flooded in as people debated the motive behind the gesture. Was it jealousy? A rivalry? A personal grudge? Nobody knew for sure. But one thing was certain: Shohei Ohtani's home run had not only left the stadium, it had shaken the world of pop culture itself. Ohtani, meanwhile, seemed blissfully unaware. He trotted around the bases with that measured stride, eyes focused forward, not one glance toward the luxury boxes. When he crossed home plate, teammates greeted him with the usual blend of awe and amusement. For them, it was just another day in the world of a man who defies the limits of the sport. But the broadcast replayed the clip again and again, zooming in on the celebrity's face. Analysts were stunned. That's a rare sight, one commentator said, almost laughing. You don't see a global icon booing another global icon every day. The booth erupted with speculation: maybe the star was a die-hard fan of the opposing team, or maybe there was a deeper story. Theories began to spread faster than the home run itself. Some said the star had a long-standing connection to the pitcher who gave up the homer, others claimed it was part of a friendly rivalry that had spilled into public view. But a third camp suggested something more symbolic: that Ohtani's meteoric rise had started to overshadow other global figures, and this moment of visible frustration was a reflection of that cultural shift. By the time Ohtani's post-game interview began, the entire world was already buzzing. Reporters asked cautiously if he had seen the reaction from the stands. Ohtani smiled faintly and shook his head. I was focused on the game, he said simply, in that calm, measured tone that has come to define his character. The fans' energy was amazing tonight. It was both a diplomatic and graceful answer, typical of the man who rarely lets emotion steer the conversation. Back online, however, the debate only intensified. Fans of the celebrity rushed to their defense, saying it was all a misunderstanding, perhaps a reaction to something off camera. But baseball fans weren't convinced. You can clearly see it, one fan insisted in a viral post. The thumb went down right after the ball cleared the fence. That was no coincidence. Clips of the incident began to appear on sports talk shows, with slow-motion breakdowns analyzing every frame. Here, one host pointed out, you can see the smile fade as soon as Ohtani makes contact. And look, the moment the crowd erupts, that's when the boo starts. It was treated almost like a Zapruder film for baseball gossip. Meanwhile, in Japan, the news made headlines. Global star shows displeasure at Ohtani's home run, read one major outlet. Japanese fans reacted with humor and pride. Even Hollywood can't handle Ohtani's greatness, one commenter joked. He's too powerful for the entertainment world. Ohtani's teammates, when asked later, responded with laughter. If people are booing him, they're just jealous, one of them said. He's the kind of player you can't stop even if you try. Another added, he's not just playing baseball, he's rewriting the story of what's possible. As the days passed, the story refused to die. The celebrity involved tried to clarify things in an interview, claiming they were reacting to a bad call from the umpire, not Ohtani's homer. But the internet, skeptical as ever, didn't buy it. That's a weak cover, one fan tweeted. You can't blame the ump when the camera shows you booing during the home run celebration. What began as a single moment in a baseball game had now become a global talking point. Sports pages, entertainment news, and even talk shows across different countries were discussing it. The contrast between Ohtani's grace and the celebrity's visible frustration became a metaphor for something larger, the difference between those who rise with humility and those who struggle to watch others succeed. In Los Angeles, fans began showing up to games with cardboard cutouts of thumbs, some pointed up, others down, turning the moment into a running joke. Every time Ohtani hit another home run, the camera would pan to the stands, and fans would laugh, holding their thumbs high in mock tribute. It became part of his legend, another layer to the growing myth of Shohei Ohtani. The celebrity's PR team worked overtime, issuing statements and redirecting attention, but the damage was done. The image of that downward thumb had become symbolic, an icon of envy facing unstoppable brilliance. Meanwhile, Ohtani kept doing what he always does. Game after game, he continued to crush baseballs into the night, pitch with impossible precision, and carry himself with the quiet dignity of a man who lets his performance speak louder than anything else. Every new highlight only deepened the contrast between him and his critics. Even opposing players began to comment on the incident. "Man, if you're booing Ohtani, you're booing the game itself," one rival slugger said. "What he's doing is good for baseball. It's good for all of us." The MLB community, known for its fierce loyalty to the sport's traditions, largely rallied behind Ohtani. "We've had stars before," said one retired legend on a sports podcast. "But Ohtani is something different. He's an ambassador for the game in a way we haven't seen since Babe Ruth, and maybe even more than that." Over time, the controversy started to fade, but the image remained etched in pop culture memory. Whenever highlights of Ohtani's biggest moments are replayed, that clip sometimes sneaks into the montage, a reminder that even universal admiration can come with unexpected dissent. Fans began using the moment as a metaphor online. "Don't be the person booing someone else's success," one motivational post read, overlaying a photo of Ohtani rounding the bases. "Be the one cheering for greatness, even when it's not yours." In many ways, the incident said more about fame than about baseball. Ohtani represents effort, focus, and humility, the traits that earn genuine respect. The celebrity's reaction, on the other hand, reflected how difficult it can be to witness another person's triumph, especially when the world seems to celebrate them endlessly. In the months that followed, Ohtani continued to dominate the league. His stats climbed, his influence grew, and his legend expanded far beyond the diamond. Every swing, every pitch, every quiet smile seemed to remind fans why they admired him in the first place. And yet, the story of that single thumbs down lingered, a small act of disapproval against a backdrop of overwhelming praise. It became a symbol of how even perfection cannot please everyone, and how greatness often shines brightest when challenged. For Ohtani, it was just another chapter in a career already filled with cinematic moments. For the world watching, it was a reminder of how emotion and ego can collide in the presence of brilliance. In the end, the fans didn't remember the boo, they remembered the blast. The sound of that bat, the flight of that ball, and the eruption of joy that followed. The home run became part of his growing legend, one that not even a global superstar's disapproval could tarnish. And as Ohtani continues to inspire millions, that night stands as proof: no amount of negativity can dim the light of true greatness.